we're recording as well, so.
Oh,
Getting some nice pictures coming up.
yep, famous cockerel.
And here we go, just to get started.
From the only girl who scored.
Just to make everything.
That's about right.
To a bunch of CADS.
What a little...
There you go. I actually did some preparation for this. I got some photos up. I made a little. I'm going to set up and let you guys talk. How you doing?
Very impressive.
It sounds like Barry Mead has prepared the soundtrack.
It can't be Barry because we haven't got anything about fucking Geneseo going on yet.
Well, we did.
You don't mean to tell me that Barry didn't like Jermaine Genius?
Oh, you haven't noticed?
No.
No, strange.
God, you guys must be psychic.
Absolutely.
Good old Barry.
Oh, Barry's great.
So who's here? We've got Stuart, Rex, me. Who else is online?
Well, hang on.
Sadat is online.
I'm online.
Sadat.
Yay.
Sadati, salam alaikum.
Hey, Salam, how you doing?
Good, good. You were promised you weren't going to speak, but just sit in the background.
Oh, I'm just going to listen to you guys and pop in once in a while and say hi.
Well, I do have his microphone on, so.
That sounds like Nick, is it?
No, Nick.
That was Sadat.
Andreas, hello.
Oh, that was Sadat. Sorry, Sadat.
Yeah,
That's fine. It's Sadat, lose your weekend.
They look
Sadat
the same.
this week.
All right, so let's go through the names of the people who are here. Andreas, you're here.
Yep,
All right.
I am.
Hello.
The foreigner.
Is that Andreas? Is Andreas here as well?
Yeah, Andreas.
I am, yes.
And then we have.
Oh, great. We have a token.
The token foreign guy, you mean?
Oh,
Token lawyer.
Ah,
That's lowered the tone of the conversation for a start, hasn't it?
I think that's.
Just making sure everybody knows what to expect. So what do you think of Pistorius getting off then, Andreas?
what stories we should go off with? Or what?
Well, if we've got a lawyer, shouldn't we be talking about Oscar Pistorius first of all?
Well, Oscar Pistorius. Well, he didn't lie, did he? Apparently not. Just can't prove that what he says was really a lie because no one was there with him except for his, well, girlfriend.
I heard that the lawyers in South Africa are concerned that the judge did not apply the legal check correctly, and therefore they're going to ask for a retrial on the ground on the legal technicality.
Well, let's ask for retrial.
Well, you got the OJ case, which had 75% of the evidence thrown out because the police didn't do their job properly. So, well, if the police has done their job properly and there's a legal technicality, well, I don't know.
They're saying the judge made a mistake.
The judge made a mistake. Well, that's a retrial then.
That's what they're asking for.
Okay.
On the basis that she made the judgment as to whether Oscar Pistorius knew it was Rena Steenbank behind the door, whereas it should have been as to whether he knew there was anybody behind the door.
How many women did he have in his apartment at the same time?
Well, he is an Olympic athlete.
Not as many as you do, Austin.
Yeah, thanks.
But then again, this isn't the biggest or the weirdest murder case or the defense in a murder case because this sounds actually plausible that there could be a break-in and you would be able to, well, if it's the same as in America, you can shoot someone entering your home. Whereas the Phil Spector of a few years ago, the Phil Spector case where the defense was they had been out on a date and came back and she shot herself. I mean, how bad a date would you need to have if you come back to a guy's place and said, fuck this, I'm going to take my own life?
I'd rather take my own.
I'm just thinking...
Well, I've known some pretty awful guys, actually.
Yeah.
I've had some pretty awful days.
Depends on whether they've been out with Bonita or not.
I actually know a guy from I'm not going to name the nationality, but the nationality isn't present. He was in another country, which I'm not going to name the country either, but he was very pleased because the police had allowed him to have a pistol at home. And when a thief tried to get into his garden, he shot the thief, who was unarmed, down as the thief was trying to get away, and he was very proud and pleased with himself. And the police congratulated him. So there's different rules in every country.
Yep, I think if you had a gun in Denmark and you had some guy threatening you with a knife, and you pointed a gun at him from, let's say, 2 meters away, you'd be the one serving time in jail, even though he was on your premises illegally.
Well, that farmer in Lincolnshire got done for that, didn't he? He took a shotgun to some burglars, and he ended up being banged up. I can't remember for what, but
well, threatening people, I think.
No, I think the guy's name was Tony. He actually spent time in jail because he did actually shoot someone in the arse.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was a while ago now, though.
You want to say something?
He was a farmer, wasn't he? And everybody's upset about it.
I can always log off. I'm in the middle of a conversation. Okay.
There we go. There's our first interruption.
Who's throwing things around and breaking bottles or whatever?
My colleague has just come in, entered the fridge, got a bottle of wine out, one of 3 out, and is now pouring herself a glass of wine, having just spent the last 2 hours doing tuition for someone.
Austin, it's 8 p.m. What are you still doing with your colleague?
What's her name?
What's her name? Imagine how fucking business she knows it guys.
Just shows what I think of you, Austin.
Given I work from home and live in the spare room here, I haven't moved.
Okay, so what's your colleague doing at your house at 8 o'clock in the evening?
It's her house.
You do realise that personal computers are actually meant to be in your own house now, yeah? Not just at your workplace.
Oh, it's a long, complex story, and I'm not going into it. I get pilloried enough from you lot for whatever reason. I'm not handing any more.
Tell me, Austin, is there any truth in the rumour? Austin, is there any truth in the rumour that Teddy Sheringham was your favourite Spurs player ever, based on his off-the-pitch behaviour?
No, there was any truth in that rumour.
I think we're going to have to ask.
Is this some sort of robot now?
Yeah.
Is he turning into a Dalek?
I wondered if it was just me, or maybe the girl that's got hold of him is pouring wine down his throat.
Oh, yeah.
My favourite are my streams.
Stuart, I have to object to the photograph of the team photo that you've got up there, because half the players aren't at the club anymore.
Well, that's kind of...
No, I just went through it. 2 are out on loan, and we only got, I think we got 1 on the registered squad.
I think there's
On that team image there. I think there's 1 in the registered squad.
Yeah,
That's a good attempt.
Yeah, Walker.
Is it Kyle Walker is
the one, yeah.
registered? Yep, that's it.
Well, we are, you know, the
Well, I've lost the picture.
it ended, so, you know, would it be, we could have a little bit of a laugh and a chat about and see if there's players in that list that we'd actually want to keep. No, no one?
Well, all of them.
We want to keep all of them.
Yeah, I want Huddleston back. Huddleston and Genius in midfield.
I would love Huddleston. I don't know.
Huddleston and Genus.
Huddleston and Genius would be like 2 completely opposite, wouldn't they? You've got a guy who runs around...
It's interesting how many of us love Huddleston now he's gone.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah, he wasn't quite a fan favourite when he played for us, was he? But now he's gone and actually showing a bit of quality.
Getting a regular game.
Well, I know that I always loved him, and I know that Kel's always loved him as well.
That was always a big...
I think the issue with Huddleston was people thinking he was fat, which he clearly wasn't. He's just not the
He was
fastest
big.
guy ever. He was. He wasn't
Well,
chubby.
he was
athletic.
He was one of the fastest guys in the club.
Yeah,
But
in
he had a
top
big
speed, but not
turning circle.
acceleration.
Can you imagine a
that's true.
midfield
He didn't have
duo
much
of Jan
acceleration.
Molby and Tom Huddleston?
Well, didn't Tom
Pardon?
I said, could you imagine a
I
midfield
don't
duo
remember
of
that.
Jan Molby and Tom Huddleston? No one would get past them.
Yeah, but that,
Or maybe they would. They'd just pass over them and run past them.
Yeah, they need to go outside of the tram lines.
Yeah. We can't go around them. We can't go over them. Have to go under them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's
Well, Jan Mulby is the biggest player Denmark has ever had. So there's that. He's not best, but he's the biggest.
I remember the name. I've never seen a picture of him.
never seen.
I can tell you the biggest player that Wales has ever had was Graham Southall. Currently, have you seen the size of him in that picture?
Big Nev.
Neville.
Yeah.
Neville Southall. Neville Southall. I mean, yeah.
He's huge.
Wow, he's becoming enormous.
His last games in the Premier League, or at least in the Pro Leagues, he was enormous.
Playing for Torquay, he was.
He's a really
Is
big
that
guy.
right?
Yep.
Guys, I'm logging off. I'll
Big,
speak to
big
you all
polite
online.
word.
All
Yep.
right.
Nice having you.
We'll do
See you
this.
soon. Take care. Bye.
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 Cheers, Austin. I suppose the big news of the day is the Mirror story at the moment, isn't it? Have you seen the Mirror story?
It's at the $1 billion, £1 billion.
$1 billion.
Awful journalism, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, there's been a club statement this afternoon, I think it was, saying that there's no truth to the rumours at all that the club is for sale. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. That of course the club is for sale, and if there's a bid of £1 billion or whatever it was, of course they're going to listen to it. But I think they want to develop. If they want to sell, they have to build the stadium to really up the club.
Well, I thought that.
Well, you know, it's like any business. If somebody wants to pay over the top for something, it's for sale.
Yeah, of course.
And $1 billion would definitely be over the top.
And enough.
Yeah, about 500 million will be over the top as well.
Probably quite likely. I think the net value of the club's about 400, isn't it?
Somebody mentioned 300 a while ago, somewhere.
Well, that depends. If you believe that the stadium is going to be built, then the equity and the stadium in itself will provide a huge asset, and which will in futures be worth a lot more than it is today. So if you gamble and say I'm going to pay
You're
a
talking
little
about
less,
potential then.
yeah, it's a lot about potential, and that's what investments is about as well. And judging a company's value is quite difficult, really, because the stadium is going to be built. I don't think any of us is doubting that, but it's just when is it going to be built? What big monetary risks are we taking by not building it, and how much is Archway going to mean to us in terms of money? And that's why nobody's going to buy it now. They're not going to be any offers, not over the top, not on the face value.
That's
I don't
right.
think so.
Yeah, but wasn't.
Tell me, does anybody know anything about these Archway people? Are they holding out to make a lot of money, or why are they holding out so much?
Money.
Yeah, of course, money. It's going to be money.
I'm sure they've been offered a lot.
It depends on what rumours
I
you.
was talking to James at the last match, and he mentioned that they have been offered a lot of money, but they want more, just because they can bargain.
Well, they're in a pretty commanding position right now because they're holding up one huge business from dealing with their plans, or getting on with their plans, which have a lot of money and will be able to afford the amount of money they probably want for it. But they're also going to be holding up the match day. Those are going to be earning things from the match day things. So if we're going to go to Wembley, if we're going to go to Milton Keynes, even the Emirates, might be that we end up hurting the businesses that rely on match day income. So
You're
I think
going along burning effigies of Archway.
But the thing is, we're going to be going.
So, Stuart, is it possible to freeze these pictures as they go past, scroll past us?
Yeah, absolutely. You just tell me when, and I will freeze it.
Could you hold for us with the one of the stadium, the new stadium?
Yeah.
That's
The
the one,
naming
yes.
rights stadium.
Let me do this.
Yes.
This way, we'll go through them here. We don't want to see him. There we go. That one?
No, no.
I think there might be a bit delay. Yeah.
That's the one, that's the one.
Sorry.
Can anybody looking at that stadium tell me where Archway is?
Where the
It's basically
the back is.
I beg your pardon?
Where it says you've got the Tottenham Hotspur on both sides, you've got naming rights front and back on the picture. And I believe the archway is basically under where the stand is at the back, where it says naming rights. On the
Okay,
is it?
interesting. So it really does completely get in the way of the... It's really, really close to where the stadium is.
Oh,
Yeah, if we were to build the stadium with Archway there, Archway would be in one of the stands, the one on the left, in between half the seats.
that's the one on the left, is it?
It is that close.
Hmm.
A bit of a problem.
Amazing that anybody could be that close to Spurs for so long and not supporters.
Comes down to the value of the product.
Well, they can't. They could be a fan of Spurs, but also be a fan of money more.
Well, he's supposed to be a well-known Arsenal fan, owning it. So, believe what you will.
Well, that explains everything, doesn't it?
It could do. To be fair, though, I mean, if it was our business, we'd be holding out for as much money as we could.
I'm really surprised that the local people aren't doing something about it and going and having a chat with him.
I mean, on the side, quietly.
I don't know about quietly, firmly maybe.
Firmly, yeah.
But then again, that is I think that's illegal because first of all, if you're going to force someone to make some sort of agreement, you're still treading on some sort of not properly enforced deal or whatever it's called. I'm not into the English legal mumbo jumbo, but it's still forcing someone, even though if you're not a party of the deal, you're still being forced to make a deal is highly illegal.
Under coercion.
But haven't we got a CPO?
Yes.
We do, but they are appealing it, which means they are in every right, much like Barcelona is not allowed to transfer any players, but because it's on appeal, they're still allowed to buy Luis Suarez. So they're still allowed to be there, and even if it's going to be upheld, it's just going to be upheld in 6 months' time, but they'll have 6 months more to stay there.
Yeah, but they left it till the
And
last
annoy us.
to put their appeal in. That was the thing that really annoyed people, was that they had the very last possible day they could put their appeal in, put it in, and now we're going to have to wait until it gets around to having a court case, a court date. It's going to go through all the rigmarole of that. We're going to have it upheld. The CPO will go through, but you're talking maybe another year's time.
Yeah.
And all of these delays, anyone who's ever done any building knows that delays like this cost you a fortune.
But however, they're in every legal right, and if we deny those the kind of the rights to appeal and everything, we would be doing a bit of harm to our legal system, or your legal system anyway.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
But how many here are regular goers to White Hart Lane as it is? I mean, I live in Paris, so I don't get over very often. Andreas, I'm guessing you don't head over that often?
Well, I'm only there every other week, so yeah, no, not really often. It's not true. I've never been to White Hart Lane. I'm ashamed to say, but I've never been.
It is an experience, I have to say.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of my life overseas, and then raising a family, that doesn't give you much time to get up there. So it's only in the last few seasons that I finally managed to start going along and seeing a couple of matches each season.
I used to go regularly. the last couple of years I've stopped going because of well, money basically. But before that, because I live so close to the stadium, I used to walk there all the time, go and see all the matches, and try and go as much as possible.
So, Dad, how old were you when you came to the UK, or were you born here?
No, I came over when I was 8.
And so, why did you start to support Spurs?
Why not? It's the only team in North London. Basically, because I lived in Edmonton, so closest team to me.
Okay.
Only
Oh, that's good. That's the best reason, isn't it?
exactly. Support your local club.
Andreas, what about you?
Yeah.
I've been part of well, I still am a part of a Scout and Guide group here in Denmark who's got a friendship group in Winchmore Hill. And loads of people there are Spurs fans. There are also many Arsenal fans, but for some reason the Spurs fans got me influenced, and in my later years I realised I was a Spurs fan. So
what's a friendship group?
What's a friendship group? It's one group in England, one group in Denmark, actually 2 groups in Denmark, but never mind that. Meeting up at a common camp, people meeting up, young people, having relationships and doing scouty things.
Sounds like a thing for priests to groom children.
For what, sorry?
It sounds like a grooming exercise.
It could be very well be looked upon as a grooming exercise, but it's not the main point of it, no.
Particularly when you're going on about having relationships.
Well, that is what people come away with the most. It's not necessarily any kind of love interest in sorts of relationships, but relationships in terms of friends and people they know across the pond. It's amazing, and especially the young Danish kids that we bring isn't really confident enough in speaking English. It's getting a bit bolder in terms of speaking English, and that's, well, the reason why I speak English the way I do, which have amused both Austin and Panit, I think, is the fact that I've been part of this friendship for all my life, really. So in that case, you do get some values and you do get some experiences from meeting people from abroad, and they're not just
absolutely
big evil foreigners.
Is that the big scout hall at Bounds Green? Andreas?
Yeah?
Yeah, is that the big scout hall at Bounds Green? I know they have a lot of groups staying over there as well.
The big, sorry, no scout group. No, they're in Winchmore Hill. Did you say you said Boulder Green, didn't you?
No, Bounds Green, which is basically the bottom of Winchmore Hill.
They're with the St Paul's Church in Winchmore Hill. They're called Third Southgate.
Okay, no, there's another big scout group near there where school children and I think groups all around the world come and stay and do scouting activities.
You think of Gilwell Park?
Maybe.
Yeah, Gilwell Park is the home of scouting. It's Lord Baden-Powell's residence that he is that called bequeathed to the scouting movement when he died.
Okay.
So it's become not come and discuss Spurs, it's come and discuss scouting.
So it's discussing relationships with children, apparently.
Yes, never talk about children and relationships because that'll get you somewhere you don't want to go. No, it's basically it's just you get quite and this is not the correct word probably, but you get quite intimate with people when you're staying in a camp, and not in a sexual way. But you're staying very close, and you can hear people snore, and it's quite close quarters when you're on a summer camp. So you get to know people a whole lot better than you would on just going to a hotel and listen to some rowdy Germans.
Yeah, because we do the same for work when I work festivals, and you can spend 3 days with somebody at a music festival, and you know them a lot better than somebody you would spend 3 weeks or 4 weeks travelling with, staying in separate hotel rooms.
Yeah,
exactly.
I worked for a company called PGL in the UK, and you spend a few months living with people in the same rooms, and they often go on to be lifelong friends. So I'm still in contact with those people 10 years later. Same kind of thing. All right, so should we try and get back?
So no,
Vicious go.
So no, my influence in Spurs was from that scout group. There were some people there that I got on with really well and started talking football, and sort of found out that my local team was Spurs, and basically it's more or less why not, and then ended up actually supporting Spurs as much as I support my local team.
And roughly what time was that? How long ago?
5, 6 years, I think.
Okay, so not back in the Alan Nielsen days. And
I think I might have. I came out as a Spurs fan around the Juan Ramos era.
oh dear.
Actually, I think I came out to my friends, the people who knew me around the time at the 2 points from 8 games thingy.
Oh dear. Oh,
Yeah. Well, actually, that kind of hardship actually meant that I actually realised that because it actually not affected me per se, but it was still I had an opinion on it really that we didn't get that many points and we were losing games and stuff like that. That's the moment I really realised, wow, actually I might have feelings for this club. So the bad times probably good for something.
Yeah, I think the bad times temper us all a little bit. I mean, if you go a little bit further back, you got the sugar era, which was pretty disastrous. And I remember going through.
I don't agree with a complete disaster.
I said it was quite disastrous. I didn't say complete disaster. Quite disastrous.
Okay.
We went from being a club that was challenging at the top end of the league to a club that was. Where were we when we took over? 13th, 12th, generally.
Yeah, I'm not completely convinced that was Sugar's fault. I think we were going down fast because of the actions previously of Scholar.
Yeah, that didn't help.
Yeah, okay, Scholar was completely well-meaning and trying to do the right thing. He gambled on something which would have made us a superpower, but the gamble failed.
He was well ahead of his time as well, wasn't he? I mean,
yes, he was.
Boxes and clothing range, things like that. And that's the kind of stuff that Leon's doing now. Leon has clothing range, they've got hotels, they've got all different kinds.
I can barely hear you.
Let me see if I can turn the volume up. How's about that? Is that better?
Much better.
Okay, so Leon, they're doing things now to bring in lots of different different financial revenue streams. So they've got hotels, they've got their own water range, clothing, things like that. They've got all these kind of things which are run by, which are owned by the Leon Football Club Corporation. That's what helps bring the money into the football club. And Scholar was trying to do that kind of thing, but he tried it too early and it never really worked for him.
Weren't we like the first people or the first club in England back in the 70s or 80s to start selling adverts across the pitch or around the pitch? I can't remember whether that's Scholar or who was chairman and being at that point, but I think I read something about the in the Glory game that we were the first club to sell those kind of what do you call those?
Advertising.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we.
Sounds like a Sugar deal.
Oh, I think Sugar came later. He came in when all the money was there.
Well, didn't Alan Sugar take over in 1991 or something like that?
Something like that.
Couldn't tell you the date.
Let's see. Alan Sugar on Google.
When did Maxwell die?
87? Is that early?
No, I was out of the country in 87. He died after I came back, but Sugar turned up to save us from Maxwell, didn't he? The scholar was going to sell us to Maxwell.
I remember that being a story, yeah.
Well, Alan Sugar took over in 1991.
When did Maxwell die?
Oh, no, don't know. Too much Googling now, don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Anyway, so go on. What are people's thoughts on here about ENIC? Is it ENIC?
Actually, Munich.
Munich?
No,
ENIC, Munich.
Our current investment bank group.
I think they've done a fantastic job for us.
I agree.
I agree as well.
Yep.
We're gonna have
I don't get the hate that they're getting because they don't invest. And if we see the was there a guy on the was it the SC forum who actually went through the entire accounts and started locating where Joe Lewis had put money in, and just the past year is something like £60 million or something like that he's put into the club. And well, basically, he's pumping money into the club where he can in financial fair play terms. And we've progressed. We've got some players like Modric and Gareth Bale that we are in a position we can command such high prices for. I can't see that's a bad thing, to be honest.
Yeah, same here.
No, I think they've done very well for us.
I
We're
mean,
building a solid club. We just need to get the stadium so we can afford better wages for better players. So we can start challenging.
Yep.
I think the thing is that the modus operandi probably isn't going to change. We're probably going to continue to be a player trading vehicle. We're going to bring in young players. We're going to develop them. We're going to sell them on. It's just whether or not we're going to do that at a higher level than we are at the moment. You know, we're doing it at Europa League level. We can be.
Well, we have been doing that, and we've been improving. We've been trying not to sell the most successful players, and we're forced into doing it. That's why we sell them for so much money.
Yeah, the money's going up, isn't it, all the time? You know.
Yeah.
1 million for Modric and 85 for Bale.
Absolutely, and it comes down to the fact that when they buy those players from us, it helps to suppress us and stop us from getting into the top level, which of course the other clubs want to do, not just to us, but to anybody who's below them. They don't want to let them come up. That's just going to happen, and always going to happen.
There is some truth to the fact that if you've got clubs like Manchester City and Chelsea, which are able to cheat money-wise, which means that wages are not an issue to them. They don't need to sell to pay their wages. They don't need to sell to make money. Then you've got some sort of what do you call that? It's a bit askew. Yeah, exactly. It's not a level playing field because they don't care. They could just get a chairman to write a check and underwrite everything that's coming in.
But although you say that, couldn't then, for example, Wigan turn around and accuse us of doing exactly the same thing when we know that Joe's put 60 million quid in this year alone?
Yeah, but that's gone into the club in terms of the infrastructure.
It's not like...
Well, I agree, and in any terms, my local team here has had a sugar daddy for years, which no one knew about. But the fact that they just had to halve the player budget in terms of both wages and transfer money, it's meant a huge deal to the club. But he's just turned off the tap. And I think you have to have some sort of outside investment, especially in terms of the stadium right now. But in the day that football teams, and I think it's actually achievable in the Premier League, that football teams can make it on their own without any subsidy from any owner or anything. But it's a bit difficult because then the owner is the best owner is the one with the best network. They can call them some friends deals and say, well, Hewlett Packard, please sponsor us for £150 million a year. Because then I'm going to put in a huge order at your place. So there's going to be some behind-the-scenes trading. So I don't think you can get rid of the sugar daddy in football, but you can try and make it a bigger nuisance for the people that want to disrupt the financial fair play of the football teams.
But isn't that what PSG
Is that right?
tried to do, and they got stung by UEFA's basically? They've got a system that says market rate advertising, market rate sponsorship, and you can't go beyond a certain amount beyond that. PSG did that. So that's why they got hit.
But wasn't that started by Man City having a £400 million sponsorship for their stadium by the company who owns it?
Same thing. I mean, there's something in the papers.
Yeah, I don't think that's
getting a way around it, around the problem. And I don't know how they're going to do that. Apparently the entire law has been rewritten so that a club like Man City can avoid getting fined and getting hit by any penalties. And that would be horrible. I mean, what's the point of having it if you're just going to rewrite the law?
But Man City have already bypassed it now by having clubs in different countries. So, like, they own, was it New York something or other, where they buy their players and loan them to Man City? Or they buy players and loan them out to Australian clubs or wherever else they've got clubs.
Well, they are just taking the loan partnership with another club a bit further by buying the club and making sure that that's possible. You actually see it already in with Red Bull. They bought Salzburg and they renamed it Red Bull Salzburg. Now they've bought Leipzig as well in the second Bundesliga.
Yeah.
And now they are player exchanging. We just in Denmark we just sold one of the most talented right backs to Leipzig, and Leipzig immediately loaned him out to Salzburg because he was on the level that Salzburg was playing, and then hopefully in 2 years' time he would have developed enough to be a Bundesliga player and then move on to Leipzig. So they're doing kind of it's what the Americans have in their baseball and in ice hockey is like the minor leagues where you can call people up from. And well, to be honest, I'd like to see Tottenham try and do that in some sort of way, but it's just massively expensive, really.
What we're doing at Swindon.
We've been doing it with Real Madrid.
Oh.
Relationship.
But isn't that what we're doing?
But we do have partnerships with clubs in Brazil and America.
Yeah, but they've come to nothing.
Where we do that already.
But there's a difference between partnerships. We have a partnership with Internazionale, and we know how difficult it is to buy Leandro Damião from there. So yes, a partnership is a good thing that we can get players from there. But if we got 100% control of a football club, that means that if Leandro Damião, we owned Inter in Brazil, then we would be able to get him for nothing, basically. So,
given the way that the Brazilian clubs have shared ownership, if we were owned International, we'd probably find out that Arsenal own 40%.
yeah, true.
Yeah, the whole Leandro Damião thing was a bit of a joke in the end.
But bullet dodged.
Possibly. I mean, I remember watching him play Scotland, and he looked fantastic. And
I really wanted him.
I could play against Scotland and look fantastic.
No, this guy looked really, really. I mean, in the air, he looked unbeatable. Scotland had some good central defenders. Well, in the air, not so much on the ground, but in the air, and he was beating them every time. So I thought he would be a really good player to move to the Premiership. I think his career actually got significantly worse by not moving because he's gone somewhere else.
Yeah,
he's been found out.
Could well be.
And if he'd gone to Spurs, we would have, developed him. We would have got him probably up. We probably would have sold him by now, frankly. But hey.
Well, that depends. We got a fully fledged striker in Soldado, and we haven't sold him on yet.
I don't think anyone's going to come in with the kind of offer that it would take to buy him. I mean, AC Milan wanted him, but they wanted him on loan. So that's not going to happen, is it?
I think there's still a good footballer in there somewhere in Soldado.
Same here.
We have no option but to keep him
and play him pretty much.
Yeah, think about it. I mean, we will have paid over the top for him because he's 29 and because we're a club that wants to push up. We wanted to get a really good player who the people who could afford more expensive didn't want. They didn't want him for a reason, so we had to take a risk. basically because the bloody fans always insist that we take a risk on things like this. And so, having bought him, how many other clubs are there out there like us, who, with the money that we've got, who are desperate to buy it? They're the only people who would buy it, and they're not going to buy a dud.
Yeah, but the stated price is 26 million. How much of that 26 million do you actually think we've spent? We said 26 million so that their chairman would look good, but a lot of that is little clauses here and there. When we qualify for the Champions League, we'll pay another 5 million. When he scores 30 goals, we'll spend another 5 million. I shouldn't have think we spent more than 14 million on him so far.
I think that sounds plausible. I don't think there's any of the values that we get on a transfer deal. It's never going to be the face value that's been paid. I don't think so. No, because it's also going to be spread out. Because we're probably going to have bought him. How long is his contract? 3 years?
Oh, it must have been 4.
So if we spent, if it's 4 years, let's say it's 4 years, we spent. Then that price is actually going to be spread out over 4 years. That we're going to try and pay over 4 years for him, because we're going to keep him for 4 years, and that he's an asset for 4 years. So we're probably only going to be spent 1/4 of the price that we paid before the clauses every year, and I think that's the reason why the prices of football has become so high. It's not because the clubs have got more money, because they're structuring deals in such a way that allows them to pay more now.
Yeah, and also you look at the amount of money coming in from the television sponsorship deals. I mean, that's gone up by 40 million in the last couple of years. That's per season. And that's a huge amount. I mean, at one point when it changed over, you could get more money by being a club at the bottom of the Premiership than you could have got by winning the Premiership the season before. I mean, that's the massive kind of difference in the finances of clubs. We were talking about the value of the Spurs earlier. People saying it was worth 300, 320, 330 million. Now suddenly clubs are getting an extra 40 million a year, so you've got to factor that in as well.
Well, speaking of prize money in the Champions League, we just had FC Copenhagen and Aalborg being close to qualifying to the Champions League, being in the last playoff round. And everyone here in Denmark goes, "Oh, it's so great for Denmark to have the teams in the Champions League, because they'll be gaining these UEFA points for us, and hopefully get us some more UEFA places, so we can get more teams into Europe and everything." But I don't think that the few points that they could achieve in a group of let's look at the Slatan group, where it's PSG, Barcelona, and Ajax, and then
Slatan group.
Yeah, well, there's actually, I can't remember what the last team is, but there was actually a possibility, quite clear possibility, that the group that PSG is in had Malmö as well, which meant that all 4 teams in that group Slatan would have played for.
Oh dear.
Unfortunately, that's not how it turned out, but I think that could have been a great story. But having a Danish team, I think FC Copenhagen might have come in instead of Ajax, because they're probably the same level as Ajax, and that was UEFA points. But they'll be earning somewhere just around 10 million quid, and the Odense player budget is about 3 million quid a year for buying players and paying their wages.
Wow.
So it's a huge, exactly. It's such a big difference in Denmark. If you qualify for the Champions League, you're in the gold, you're in the money. You're going to be winning the league for the next couple of years because you got so much money.
Yeah, money makes the football world go round, certainly.
Yep.
I think the real worry for me is, Spurs spending a lot of money on this stadium, getting out to a 55,000 seater stadium, 52.5 or something like that. And what's going to happen when the money tap gets turned off? Are we still going to be able to keep the ground full? Are we still going to be able to keep the players that we've got? And if I was, a Bolton fan or something like that, I'd be seriously worried, because they're in stupid amounts of debt. And there's no way when it finally goes tits up, and it will do, the financial side of things is going to be turned off at some point. And we're going to see a massive amount of clubs just go out of business almost overnight.
Well, there's been no precedent of football clubs. Well, there have been football clubs that's gone bankrupt. We haven't had a mass bankruptcy because of the football culture turning. So it's really hard to predict these kind of things. But it would be quite interesting to see if like 7 or 8 teams in the Premier League went bankrupt because of too much spending and some sort of football climate changed. Could be quite interesting to see a new scenery of football coming through. But I'm gonna football is such a life for us. It's so important to so many people. It's going to live on eventually, and if it has to just be on lower means, it will still be football. If they're going to go back to the wages they had in the beginning of the Premier League, they'll still be making millions, and it will still be the best way for kids with well-coordinated feet to make a living.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're ever going to see some sort of implosion of football. Maybe just not the clubs that we are used to now.
Yeah, you're always going to see clubs coming through, and I think that's possibly one of the really good things about Spurs is we are being run in a very business-like way, in a very cost-efficient way. And if there is a major turn down, then we're going to be in a prime position to actually take advantage of it because we're not overspending on wages, we're not overspending on players. We're not racking ourselves up huge debts. I mean, yeah, Spurs have debts, but they're manageable, aren't they? It could be paid off. Whereas you look at other clubs, I hate to be in their position. I would be worrying every single day about my club if I was a fan of some of the other clubs out there.
Can you imagine running a business like Manchester City, who's got, 40 to 50 million pounds deficit each year? And the only reason they can stay with the head above water is because they got some oil money coming in from behind.
Yeah.
That's just no way to run a business like that. And if there is some sort of complete crackdown, there's going to be some sort of socialist person taking over from Sepp Blatter then they're basically fucked because they haven't got. They're overpaying for every single player they have because they can. But as soon as they can't, they're going to have to sell every single player and find someone else, and they're going to be desperate. So they're going to overpay for players that they aren't probably not going to pay the value that they really should, or they're going to be overpaying for shit players. That's basically what I'm trying to say. I think it's interesting. If they're going to take the financial fair play to the third step, I think there was a 3-step thing they were talking about at one point, and we're still on the first step, which is basically trying to get as many Romanian and Bulgarian teams out of the European competitions as possible because they're not paying their taxes or something. And it's not about punishing Manchester City for some reason, even though they don't live up to the rules as well.
Have been knocked out of this year's cup because of that or something? Steaua Bucharest, or one of the Romanian clubs, was effectively kicked out of the Champions League because of unpaid bills.
Yeah. Well, that was the reason why Celtic went through.
Was it?
What's happened? Celtic, there was a wrong player, unregistered player.
Yeah, what's that?
It wasn't unregistered.
What's happening in Glasgow? Yep.
They got through because there was a registration cock-up on one of the previous matches. They thought that the player had been registered for a match and he actually hadn't been properly registered. So whereas it would have counted towards his suspension, it didn't. So when he came on for the final 2 minutes against Celtic, he was officially a suspended player. So that's why they got chucked out, because they had a suspended player. But there's been other clubs in the past.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were up or something at the time. Other clubs in the past been in the same position. They brought on a player who was previously suspended and just played for a small number of minutes, and they got a fine. And this time there was this, they got kicked out. So
Out of order there, but that's beside the point.
Well, there's precedence both ways. Basically, they could choose what they wanted to do.
But I mean, what's happened in Glasgow? Why is Celtic so shit? Why can't they beat a Romanian team? Why can't they go through to the Europa League playoff stages?
No competition.
Yeah.
Is it that simple? Is the players not being challenged enough, and that's the reason why they're going downhill?
No, the real reason that all the Scottish football has gone down is a bloke called Alex Salmon, and it's going to get worse and worse because he's now trying to make the entire country a separate part from Britain, which will cause the soccer teams to completely implode and be completely useless. So all they've got to do is to vote no, and they've got a chance of getting a bit better.
Isn't that massive? They should vote no anyway. I mean, if
I like that theory, to be honest.
You should do some marketing for the no campaign.
If you go out and tell them that their football will improve if they stay part of Britain, then that's definitely winning.
yeah, it might work. Might work in certain parts. If you go to the Celtic half and you say if you vote no, then Rangers will continue to be rubbish and stay where they are. And if you go to the Rangers side and you go, if you vote no, then Celtic will continue to be rubbish and you get the chance to catch up with them. I think we might get no vote then.
That's about right. Politicians are so stupid, they never understand, do they?
Oh, politicians, I think they're the worst reflection of the worst parts of us. So, I mean, they've become so bland, haven't they? Politicians used to be interesting people to listen to, and now you listen and they've got nothing to say almost. They're so bland and they're so boring. They never say anything that could really be at all controversial. But at the same time, they don't belong to anyone. They never bring anything to make a difference.
Just trying to get the subject back on Spurs.
Go for it.
What do you think about our Europa League group? I'm just gonna copy paste them in here.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna. They've been the teams have been pasted into the questions.
Into questions, is it? He didn't put it into chat.
Yeah.
Oh.
Where should I put it?
If you put it into chat, then everybody can see it.
It doesn't.
I don't have a chat option.
It's that thing with the orange arrow.
Yeah. There's one called questions.
Yeah.
I can't. I've just put it in there. Can anyone see it?
Yeah, I'll
No.
in a second.
No.
All right. Questions. We've got Asteras Tripoli FC, Besiktas, and FC Partizan.
I think it's irrelevant who they are at the moment because until we have the dropouts of the Champions League, we won't see who the real competition is.
Yeah.
But we can see now, is this a doable thing? We're going to go to the Balkans, we've got to go to Turkey, and are they, Tripolis, is that Cyprus or is it Greek?
I've got a feeling the Greece, isn't it?
We're going to go to Turkey. Does that mean we're going to go and play against ISIS?
Oh.
No, that's a bit further down, I think.
I don't think Greece spots tonight.
Yeah, they're just gonna be a bit south, just in the. I think Syria borders with Turkey, does it?
Well, Iraq does, and Syria does as well. Yes.
Mm.
So is anyone actually going to games?
Can't hear you.
Who was going to Belgrade? There was someone talking about they were going to Belgrade for the first Partizan game on Thursday.
Yeah, that's Sam.
Gordon's always going to all of them.
Yeah, Sam was.
Who is?
CADS earlier talking
Gordon.
about going. Sam
Okay.
Lecter.
Yeah, Samuel was. Yeah.
I was thinking of going with him because he lives in Paris as well, and I was thinking of going with him, but I've got an appointment the day after, and I just can't go. Can't put it off. Although looking at
But we've got some quite long ways. We have to go. I think the shortest distance is Belgrade, and it's all the way across the continent. We've had some quite closer teams to us in the group stages, so I think the travelling might affect us in the league as well. I think it's actually quite, not necessarily in sporting terms, but I think it's quite a hard group because we have to travel across Europe and back again to get to the games.
wasn't last. I've got a feeling last season was worse because we had to go to Arctic Circle or something for one of our matches. I'm trying to remember who we played last season.
Oh yeah, we got.
That was so funny
Topsy.
because some guys was asking advice, and he'd rented a Land Rover from Oslo and was going to drive there. And it was going to take him something like a week to drive up there. And he hadn't realised that they'd flown into Oslo sort of 6 hours before the game and wanted to know if it was enough time, and there was a sort of 18-hour drive that they had ahead of them.
The funny thing is, if you're in Oslo, you're closer to Rome than you are to Tromsø, as the crow flies, at least.
And that's where they were flying into to play Tromsø.
Yeah. I'm sorry, that's just funny.
It was hysterical.
Oh god. No, our team or our group last year. I'm just trying to find it.
We played Sheriff.
Played Sheriff.
Was it Tromsø we played?
Yeah, and Anshi Makachalakla.
Yeah, and was that
Can you pronounce that properly, please?
Anzi Makashkala?
Makach. Who did that?
Anzi
That's
Makashkala.
amazing. That's what it says, actually. That's nice. Yeah.
Well, I
Makashkala, yeah.
do kind of work in the football area, so you know I have to learn how to say these things. So, or I used to.
Okay. Makashkala. Yeah.
Yeah, Anzi Makashkala.
Just hear it pronounced properly.
Yeah, it's probably not properly. I'm sure if we had a Russian guy on, he'd say, no, not like that.
Oh yeah.
No, but still.
And then the last team in the group was the Tottenham Hotspurs.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that we mispronounced every single team.
Yeah.
Good point.
So no, I think our team or our league, well, Anchi is very far west, wasn't it, or east? Sorry, as well.
Geography isn't your strong point, is it?
It is, but not in terms of where some little Russian team, where some Greek team is placed. Is it Greek part of Cyprus or wherever? Where is Anchi?
Angie is Russian, I think.
Yeah, it's all the way close to the Georgian border, so it's almost Asia. So we might have, air miles wise, we might have gone a bit further than we are this year, last year. So actually, maybe my point is invalid once again.
All right, I'm just trying.
No worries.
We've got Sam who wants to join the webinar. I'm just trying to make sure he's got the right code to sign in. All right. And he can tell us all about.
Actually, a bit of a quick measure is, it says that from London to Tromsø is probably the same as from London to Istanbul. About the same distance.
Useful.
Where
Is
was
someone
that?
working in a kitchen again?
I don't know. I think someone's making a cup of tea or something.
It's a good choice.
So, are we expecting to?
Cheesy, mate. I'll never say no.
I will. I'm not a fan of tea, I have to say. Spent too long living in France, that's the thing.
I think I need another glass of wine.
Yeah, now that I can definitely do.
Guys, I was going to say it's been real, but I need to log off.
All right, well,
Yeah, 9 o'clock.
it's getting a bit late, isn't it?
Our time is up.
All right,
Well,
good.
our time is up. It is 9 o'clock, so I think it's time to go on. But it's been fun.
Yeah, we'll do it again in the future, I'm
Yep.
sure.
Big thank you to Stuart for organising it.
Yeah, thank you, Stuart.
Yeah.
You
And the great thing is, guys, that you now know that you're all registered with this bet company, Bet Advisor.
No, you're not. If you want to be, I can get a discount code and everything.
Seriously, Stuart. Merci beaucoup.
De rien.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. We're on.
Thanks, guys.
We're on Google Hangout as well, so there'll be a YouTube of this as well, so everybody gets to listen back to this. Thank you for everyone for coming.
Oh, dear Lord.
We better cut this. It's been a long, long evening. So, guys, thank you. And Andreas, Rex, Austin, Sadat, everybody who was here. You're very good. And we'll catch you again in the future, yeah?
All right.
Yep.
Thanks,
Thanks, Stuart.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Bye.